We are a Qlik technology partner. We are also from Sweden, so I traveled from Sweden yesterday to come down here and join this. Thank you very much, WITSIDE. We have our own global network for reselling the software globally, and today we have about 1,500 customers worldwide. So what is BizView? Well, BizView is a complete state-of-the-art corporate performance management tool. That means that it can be integrated with tools like Qlik. It can also be standalone. State-of-the-art means that we're on the front edge of technology, and that's something we pride ourselves in. And our tagline here is planning and reporting the way you want it, faster. And I think from my Greek, I understood that he introduced me also with the Excel-like capabilities of BizView. So I hope to be able to show you that. I have a few slides, but then I will also show you a few glimpses from inside the software. So inside BizView, you get the forecasting and budgeting capabilities. And we are talking full-fledged CPM solutions. We also have grid-based forms. They are basically user interface controlled user input on top of any table that you might have in the Visio database or in the data warehouse or in CRM or ERP, anywhere. But these grid-based forms are a nice way to control the user input and also give the capabilities according to the user access that should be in place. We have a nice workflow and collaboration tool to support the whole process. Of course, there's reporting as well in Visio, and what we mean with reporting, we mean the structural end-of-month type reporting, P&Ls, the cash flows, the balance sheets, results, stuff like that. Flexible and advanced forms, that means that this Excel-like or we have a spreadsheet engine in the core of Visio, so it utilizes 99% of all the Excel functionality that is there. We used to say that the functions that we don't have are the ones that you don't know about, so we're fine. But anyway, this flexibility gives us the possibility to create input forms, budgeting forms, templates, rolling forecasts that really utilizes your business logic, the way you want it and the columns and rows that you need. So we're not programmed in an interface that nobody can see. It's designed in an Excel-like interface as well. But everything is done in this web application, design as well, and including the administration. Of course, there's a few administrators at the customer. They work with the planning versions, the spread keys maybe, user authorizations and such. Complete performance management solution. I just listed a number of things from our product sheet there. You can read for yourself, but we have everything from simple data entry, KPI management, to rolling forecast, driven-based planning, consolidation, elimination. So we like to call ourselves a complete CPM product. State-of-the-art technology, I mentioned this already. We have a really nice user, well, at least I hope you will think so. I'll show you in a minute here. A user-friendly input, and it can be anything from very simple data entry, of course, but also advanced planning processes supported by the workflow. Spreadsheet-like technology, leverage your Excel skills. If you go back to that tagline, which ended with faster, that goes back actually to the implementation times of a busy solution. Because we use a spreadsheet-like design interface, our partners and ourselves and even the customers can participate in the process and contribute and understand the templates that are developed. Plan on any dimension. In the demo or the things I will show you, there's basically two dimensions, cost center, unit, and account, but forget that. I mean, you can plan on anything, on projects, on products, on combination of dimensions. That's up to you, of course. Version, key thing in Visio. We have total transparency between planning versions so that when we close one back down or close one and initiate the new planning version, we can take those numbers over to the new one and the user basically just have to edit the new forecast. So that a lot of customers actually move from a fixed set forecasting table to a rolling forecast once they start using BizView. Value type, we talk a lot about driven-based planning. You can plan on anything, not just money. And you, as the customer, decide what that should be: hospital beds, or hotel rooms, or dinners served, or consultancy hours. It's up to you to manage and work with the drivers you need. Time unit, we work with all the ISO standard time units, and you can combine them in the templates as well. So you can have 12 periods and 3 long-term years, and input your forecast for those in the same input template. And of course, all this capability and state-of-the-art, and being from Sweden, I guess, complements Qlik in a very nice way. We had actually our fastest growing segment right now is within the Qlik segment. Customers are very happy with their BI solution. They have a modern, state-of-the-art BI solution, but they're lacking the input, and a lot of them are stuck in Excel. That's when you should call WITSIDE or talk to us and see what we can do for you. All right, so let's have a look. So this is the version 8, the latest version, HTML5 user interface. And the content, of course, is always filtered on based on who you are and what access levels you are authorized to open up here. But let's open a quick example here of a result budget. Now, these templates in Excel, in Visio, are designed once. So the dynamics of these templates and the time span, obviously, with the periods, but also the chart of accounts are depending on who is opening it. If it's in Greek, the chart of accounts here, or if it's in Sweden, or if it's you or you or you, depending on the authorization level you have, you might only see a few of these rows. And of course, next year, the same template will be opened, but the first column will be in that period. So, and everything else, we have the time dimensions here, and we have the other dimension on the rows. Everything else is basically Excel. So if I don't know, it's probably too small to see. Can you see the sum up there? So the design here is something that you sit together with the customer and decide exactly how you want this thing to look. This is just an example. Anyway, the user now, Eva, as I'm called today, enters the budget numbers that they need. And if you're like anything like Swedes, you're lazy, so you don't want to do it month by month. You want to do it on a yearly basis. So over here, we brought in integration from back end, the actuals, of course, the historical values. We see that last year was 41. Okay, I think this year will be 44, for example. And then you have an unlimited number of spread keys you can set up. 2 of them are basically default, even, which just spreads it evenly across the periods. But last year, which is a really nice one, because that takes the new total and spreads it according to the weights that the historical values actually make up. Okay, so how does that work? Well, we actually bring them in, and that's not only to do this, that's also to empower the user here. So just like in Excel, when you have unhide or hide rows or columns, we have that same functionality. It's called view tag. So the user now, the end user, can open up 12 columns, look at the actuals. Of course, they can't edit these. These are historical values, but they can drill down, analyze the numbers, even look at the scanned invoice if that's available, and really understanding the data and their business. So, and the whole purpose, of course, of this exercise is that they should input a relevant and accurate budget for the new year or the new period that we're looking at. So we talk a lot about empowering the end user, giving them calculations like Excel, bringing in actuals, bringing on previous versions, stuff like that, so that you can really understand your business and make an accurate forecast. Now, some other features here. Now, of course, I enter the total, but what if I don't really trust these values? I think that May is going to be way higher. I change that. Of course, I overrule the spread key, but then I want to comment. So I can insert row comments. I can insert, cell comments. I can insert row comments. They are over here. to comment the whole account. I can also input something that we call generic comments. And the thing with these comments is that, I don't know how many tech guys and women there are here, but everything is stored to the lowest possible granularity, right? So each cell becomes a planning transaction. And that goes for the comments as well. They are stored with the dimension that we see on screen, with Stockholm, with planning version B1, the periods that we look at, and the accounts that the comment is made on. So everything is always stored down to the lowest granularity, and that makes, of course, aggregation up through structures. If you want to pull the data over to Qlik and analyze the budget data there, it becomes, it's already prepared for that. Another nice feature that's very Excel-like is that, when there's new accounts or new dimensional values in your ERP system, and you want to start planning on those. I don't like this leaning table much. My mouse is... you want to add those into the budget before they are used, right? So the user can actually do that with insert row functionality. And this is exactly like in Excel. You select the accounts that you need to start planning for, the formula adjusts, the formatting adjusts, and the user can immediately start planning on that new account. And when I store this now, of course, that account is activated. We also have object version, by the way, so when structures changes, Visio keeps track of those slowly changing dimensions so that if you run a report aggregated over the year, Visio keeps track of the numbers depending on where that account or that dimensional value belonged at a certain period of time. All right, a few more things before we move on. Share, we will talk about that later when I show you from inside Qlik. But anything that you see, since it's a web application, anything that you see in Visio, any template, any report, any workflow, is of course its own URL, and together with single sign-on and Active Directory synchronization, we can have this all very well integrated in a Qlik scenario or another scenario, SharePoint, whatever, and you just take these URLs, including all the parameters, over to that solution, and you can bring in this certain template over there. Speaking of user interface integration, besides having the actuals integrated like this, we can also run a Qlik app inside Visio, Qlik View and Qlik Sense, so that the user can now get their app with their, what we call them, labels, right, the parameters. They can analyze their data just like they're used to inside Qlik, and they can do it side by side, that's the key, with their planning process. So they can analyze and then they go back. And of course, okay, I understand, I feel more comfortable with 46 million. Are you interested in my Facebook account? That's the negative part of having your own PC, I guess. Okay, moving on. We talked about driven-based planning, so let's open a sales forecasting template. An example where we plan on product volume. But the nice thing here is that we bring in, of course, the historical values, we bring in average prices, we bring in the estimated revenue, which is what? A calculation in Excel, right? So if we look at the estimated revenue for the Dell Optiplex, that's simply a function of the price times the value. So if I enter or change the value here, the volume, the driver, of course that estimated revenue is going to go up, right? But this is what we can do. Think columns and rows and functions, and that's what you can do in Excel. Fine. Get rid of Excel because it's undeployable. You can't really work with it. It's dangerous. It breaks. Bring it into Visio and have the same type of functionality, but in a perfectly controlled environment. I would say that 75% of our customers today use driven-based planning in some way. Another nice thing which I mentioned in the PowerPoint was the grid-based type form. This is not a spreadsheet-like, but this is what I guess you guys would call data enter, just simple input, okay? So we bring these grid forms on top of any table. It can be a new table that you create from Excel, or it can be an ERP or CRM or whatever table that you have right back access to. But imagine if you have actually one of our biggest customers, which you also know about, Electrolux, use almost purely these grid forms globally for Visio purposes. And they manage all the product lists in the different markets. So each platform on top of the table and you're done. And of course, filtering based on who you are and the dimensional access that you have is automatic. So if I would only have Volvo here, I would only see Volvo. And then you have some nice interface capabilities like grouping and filtering. But it's a nice way of controlling some type of master data that you need to work with and control it in a nice way. Okay, just a quick report. I think I'm running out of time. Just a P&L. I'm going to do two things that I want you to pay attention to. I'm going to select a period, 18, I guess. I select all legal entities in this demo company. I select, maybe we want euros this time. I compare it to budget version B1, and then I eliminate. So now I take into account those IC codes that you have either from the ERP system or that you manage inside Visio in a separate input form. You can manage the IC counterparts as well. But I also, I did forget, I guess. No, sorry, yeah. So the group sales account, for example, is then empty because they all cancel out. I opened all legal entities, but then of course we can drill down and see the individual transactions there. Everything except for the data that we actually pick up, the dimension and the actuals of the budget, again, Excel, and then together with the view tags, you can really bring these things alive to the end user. How am I doing on time? I have a few minutes, huh? So let's jump over to Qlik. So we have standardized back-end ETL objects for integrating with Qlik. That's since a few years back, where we pick up Qlik data and bring it into the Visio database for utilizing actuals, and also the dimensions, dimensional structures, attributes, and such. But with Qlik Sense also, we have the Qlik Sense extension. And just recently, actually maybe half a year ago or even less, we added the Qlik Sense API call. So you're running, any part of Visio. In this example, it's the same template that we saw, but that could be any part of Visio, right? Side by side with your Qlik Sense dashboards that you're responsible for a certain cost center unit, for example. And what's new here, and I'm going to jack it up a lot here so that you can see the difference. We call the Qlik Sense API to automatically refresh the Qlik Sense dashboard. So we store the data in Visio, and then the API is called. It takes a few seconds here, but if you watch these graphs now, they will change real time, and the end user, of course, can have a visual representation. Where's the revenue, the budget, if I do this? And of course, they can manipulate and work with this budget until they're happy, and then close it back down. I forgot one thing. I'm going to quit right now, but, in 10 seconds. Workflow. So we have all these dimensions and organizational structure. We set up the workflow with doers and responsibles. That's easy. In a few seconds, you create this tree, but then we just attach the content or the templates that the user is supposed to work with. So it's the same HR template, it's the same result template, it's the same P&L report on each of these steps, but you have different responsibilities. And then surrounding this whole process, you have then the collaboration with the chat module. You can comment, and only the users that are responsible can see this, of course. You can have instructions, you can attach documents, and of course, the status changes as you move on. If you answer the question, is this budget done? Yes, then it will move to ready, and the manager can go in and approve or reject the step. These flags, of course, the colors that you see on each step, they are just a flag in the database. So a lot of our Qlik customers, they use this data in Qlik Sense to visualize graphically where they are in the planning process. All right, the last slide, the most important one. How do you find us? Well, you can talk to WITSIDE. You can Google us or find us at bizview.com, and you can find us at the Qlik market, both for BizView for QlikView and BizView for Qlik Sense. All right, thank you.